Welcome to the deep dive. Usually we get into these huge industry changes or really dense research, but sometimes the best stuff comes from something really practical, really structured. Today we're looking at this, well, it's a fascinating guide for learners, a kind of step-by-step map that says it can take you from just hello to proper English fluency. And it does this with small daily steps, crucially, avoiding all that heavy grammar stuff.
Yeah, it's less like a course and more like a philosophy for learning, really.
Yeah.
The sources we looked at are laser focused on getting you confident in actual real life situations. They sort of shift the goalposts, away from perfect grammar tests and towards just smooth, natural speaking. So our mission today, I think, is to pull out the core strategies, the actionable bits, and those mindset shifts the guide really pushes as key for unlocking that flow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you feel a bit stuck, like you know the rules, but you kind of freeze up when it's time to actually talk, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're digging into the specific techniques that are meant to make the jump from knowing stuff to actually saying stuff feel, well, smoother, step by step.
And that whole transformation, it starts somewhere maybe a bit surprising. Not with complex sentence structures, but right at the beginning. The greeting. The guide actually says, get the opening right and you're already halfway to fluency, which is quite a claim.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that foundational bit. The big idea seems to be shifting away from those really stiff, textbook greetings and using what real people actually say, sort of ditching the robotic feel.
Precisely. They're really pushing learners to use friendly, everyday phrases, stuff that shows you're relaxed, open, so less how do you do, and much more like, hey, how's it going? Or, a simple morning, how are you doing?
Yeah, the sources list a few really good ones, like for a quick interaction, maybe, hi there, what's new? Or, if you know the person, long time no see.
Yeah.
That one instantly makes it feel more personal.
And this is where the detail really matters, because while long time no see is great for someone you know, the guide adds this really crucial nonverbal tip that works for any greeting. Your attitude, your tone, they matter just as much as the words, maybe even more. You need that relaxed tone, a natural smile. The sources really hammer this home. Conversational fluency is often judged by the delivery, how it sounds and feels.
That's a huge point, because if someone says, how's it going, completely deadpan, it doesn't sound fluent at all, does it? It just sounds forced.
Exactly.
The idea is fluency is about connecting with the other person.
Right. And the guide shows these simple exchanges, like A says, hey, how's it going? B, pretty good, thanks. You. A, not bad, just busy with work. Simple, right? But we do need to remember context. A learner probably shouldn't use long time no see with their company's CEO in a formal meeting, even if the phrase itself is fine. So the advice is solid, but knowing when and how to use that relaxed approach is key.
Okay, so we've nailed the opener, set a good vibe, but that brings us to the next big hurdle, right?
Yeah.
What do you actually say next? If the greeting is the start, how do you keep the conversation going? How do you avoid just stopping?
Yeah, that's where the guide brings in small talk. But again, not the awkward, forced kind. They lay out 4 specific, really low-pressure topics. Think of them as, like, conversational safety nets you can always fall back on.
Ah, okay. And they're super simple, aren't they? Because they're universal. You don't need any special knowledge. The 4 are weather, work or study, free time, and food. That's it. No heavy debates needed.
Exactly. They're designed to get short, easy responses you can then build on. Like, for weather, just, it's getting chilly these days, isn't it? Or for work, how's work going this week? The idea is just to keep the conversation moving forward, keep the ball rolling.
And what I found really interesting was the guide's observation here. Conversations tend to grow naturally. One question leads to another. You don't always need a brand new topic. You just follow the little thread from what the other person just said.
Let's look at their example of how this works. So speaker A is pretty general. How's your week been so far? Maybe thinking about work study. And B replies, pretty good. Actually, I started a new project at work.
Okay, so A picks up on that new project thread.
Yeah.
Shows interest. Oh, nice. What kind of project is it? And maybe B explains a bit and adds, it's keeping me super busy, though. Haven't had much time to cook lately, see? Now we're moving towards food, or maybe free time.
Right. And A, listening actively, grabs that free time angle. Oh, I hear that. So what do you usually do on weekends when you do get some free time? And just like that, you've smoothly shifted from work to food to free time. No sudden awkward jumps. It just flowed. That kind of organic movement. That's a real sign someone's comfortable in the conversation.
That makes total sense.
Oh,
Okay, so once a learner feels okay with starting and then bridging with small talk, we get to the next big step. This is the part about actually sounding smooth, right? The leap towards real fluency.
and this is probably the most important mindset shift in the whole guide. They define fluency not as speaking fast, but as speaking smoothly and naturally. It's a critical difference. You don't need to rush your words. You just need to connect your ideas without lots of jarring stops and starts.
Okay, and how do they suggest achieving that smoothness? They offer 3 specific techniques, right? Technique 1 sounds pretty fundamental, using connecting words. This is about stopping that choppy feeling you get when someone finishes a thought, pauses completely, then starts the next one.
Exactly. Connecting words are like the glue, or maybe hinges. They link your ideas and signal where you're going next. Think about the difference. Instead of, I woke up early, I went for a run, which feels very separate. You say, I woke up early and then went for a run, much smoother. Or instead of just stating 2 facts, I was tired, I still finished my work, you connect them logically. I was tired, but I still finished my work. It immediately sounds more natural, more sophisticated even.
Okay, that one's clear. Now, technique 2. This is one that sometimes makes learners nervous, using natural filler phrases. But hang on, aren't fillers like, um, and things we're often told to avoid? Doesn't the guide kind of contradict itself there?
That's a really good question, and yeah, it needs clarification. The key is natural fillers. The guide is super clear. Native speakers use these constantly. They aren't a sign you're bad at the language. They're actually a sign your brain is working. You're managing what you want to say while you're saying it.
Ah, okay. So it's not about encouraging mumbling. It's about using the right kind of pauses. What are the ones they recommend?
Yeah, exactly. They suggest ones that buy you a tiny bit of thinking time but still sound engaged, not like you're lost. The examples they give are things like, well, or actually, I think, or that classic thinking pause. Let me see. These little phrases do a job. They hold your turn in the conversation. They stop that abrupt silence that can make the other person think you've finished speaking. A filler basically signals, hang on, I'm processing, I'm still with you.
Okay, that reframes it completely. It's not a crutch. It's more like a tool for managing the rhythm of the conversation.
Precisely. A social tool, almost. Which leads us right into the third technique, and this one's maybe the trickiest, practicing thinking in English. This is about getting past that stage where you're constantly translating everything in your head. It's a deep mental shift.
Right, the internal monologue translating from your native language. Okay, the word is this, the grammar is that, now say it. How does the guide suggest breaking that habit? How do you get to automatic thinking?
It's presented as building a new habit, almost like mental training. The source suggests you narrate your own actions silently in English. So as you're walking somewhere, I am walking to the station. Or when you're making dinner, I'm cooking dinner. You're trying to bypass the translation step entirely, just directly connecting the action or thought to the English words and structure.
So it's like you're building the English pathways directly in your brain instead of trying to constantly reroute through your first language.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Training your brain to just grab the English phrase instantly. And that really brings us to the final piece of the puzzle in this guide, the whole mindset around practice.
Yeah, the sources really wrap up by emphasizing consistency, don't they? They talk about daily practice not really as studying, but more like training your speaking muscle. I like that analogy.
Me too. And just like any muscle, consistency beats intensity sometimes. Small amounts, done regularly. The guide really reinforces using positive, useful sentences for that daily repetition to build confidence as much as skill. They suggest simple things like repeating, I'm learning English every day, or I want to speak English naturally. And maybe the most important one for managing frustration, I'm getting better step by step. It builds patience.
That focus on small wins, daily affirmations, it definitely takes some of the pressure off, doesn't it? Makes it feel less daunting.
It really does. And the source gives this assurance, this promise. If you practice consistently, even just for 10 minutes a day, you will see progress, often within a few weeks. It kind of takes the focus off achieving perfection right now and puts it just on showing up and doing the reps each day.
That's a powerful message for learners. Okay, so let's try and synthesize the key takeaways from this guide for everyone listening. It seems the path from just speaking basic English to achieving that natural fluency really comes down to 3 main things. First, getting those natural openers right, the words and the tone. Second, practicing how to bridge conversations using those simple everyday topics to keep things flowing. And third, weaving in those connecting words and the strategic use of filler phrases to sound smooth.
Absolutely. And underpinning all of that is the core message, the real philosophy here. Fluency isn't ultimately about being perfect, it's about connection. The words, the grammar, the smoothness, they're all tools to help you connect better and interact more easily with other people.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought for you today. It builds directly on the guide's focus, on that short, daily practice, and its ultimate goal of connection. So here it is. If fluency really is about connection, how could you maybe restructure your own daily 10-minute practice? How could you make it prioritize active, connective communication? Even if you're just talking to yourself, narrating your day, or maybe imagining a conversation, how can you make that practice feel more like real interaction, rather than just repeating things by rote, something to think about? Keep training that speaking muscle, everyone.